The people running Social Security right now have absolutely no idea what they are doing. And if you or anyone in your family depends on Social Security, what is happening behind the scenes should genuinely alarm you. We are watching in real time as one of the most critical government programs in American history, a program that over 70 million Americans depend on for their survival, is being treated like a tech startup experiment where the motto is move fast and break things. And that is exactly what they are doing. They are breaking things. They are breaking the system that puts food on your table, pays your rent, covers your medical bills, and keeps you alive. And today I am going to walk you through everything that is happening, what it means for you personally, and the specific steps you need to take right now to protect yourself and your family before you fall through the cracks. So let me take you back to how we got here. Over the past year and a half or so, people with tech backgrounds and zero government experience were brought into federal agencies, including the Social Security Administration. These are people who come from Silicon Valley, from the startup world, where the culture is all about disruption. Move fast, break things, throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. And that philosophy might work when you are building a social media app or launching some new tech platform. If the app crashes, nobody dies. Nobody loses their home. Nobody goes without their medication. But when you bring that exact same reckless mentality into an agency that is responsible for getting the right check to the right person at the right time for over 70 million Americans, the consequences are catastrophic. Now, here is something that should really put things in perspective for you. The current commissioner of the Social Security Administration, this is his part-time job. Let that sink in. The person who is supposed to be running Social Security, the agency that tens of millions of seniors and disabled Americans depend on, is also simultaneously serving as the CEO of the IRS. One person running two of the most massive agencies in the entire federal government. Social Security alone serves over 70 million people, and apparently that is just a side gig. That tells you everything you need to know about where priorities are right now. And then there is the staffing situation. Over 7,000 employees were pushed out of the Social Security Administration, and these were not random bureaucrats sitting around doing nothing. These were the most technically proficient people in the agency. These were the people who understood the systems, who knew how to process claims, who answered the phones and helped people get their benefits. These were the people with decades of institutional knowledge, the people who knew how to navigate the incredibly complex rules and regulations that determine whether you get the right benefit amount or not. And they were shown the door. So what happened after they gutted the workforce? Exactly what you would expect. Suddenly nobody could answer the phones. Claims were not getting processed. People were not getting their benefits on time. Applications were sitting in limbo. The agency could not get the right person the right check at the right time anymore. And instead of admitting that firing all those experienced workers was a mistake, the response was to look for tech solutions. Artificial intelligence, new systems, new software. As if technology alone could replace decades of human expertise and institutional knowledge overnight. Now, before I go further, let me give you some important context. Historically, the Social Security Administration has always been extremely cautious and conservative in how it operates, and I understand that this frustrates a lot of people. It frustrated a lot of people who worked within the system too. Things moved slowly. Changes took forever. When something new needed to be implemented, it went through layers and layers of review and testing before it was rolled out. And yes, sometimes that was maddening. But there was a reason for that caution. When you are dealing with 70 million people's checks, with people's ability to pay for food and housing and medical care, you cannot afford to make mistakes. So the agency was deliberate. It was careful. It tested things thoroughly before implementing them. That was not a bug. That was a feature. The new philosophy is the exact opposite. It is, let us try this, let us try that. Okay, that did not work. Let us try something else. And every time they try something and it fails, there are real people who get caught in between and fall through the cracks. Real Americans who do not get their checks, who do not get their claims processed, who cannot get anyone at Social Security to help them. And this brings us to what is happening right now, which is probably the most important part of everything I am telling you today. The Social Security Administration announced that starting March 7th, they were launching brand new national systems, two major systems specifically. The first was the National Appointment Scheduling Calendar, called NASC, which was supposed to allow you to schedule your own appointments with Social Security online. The second was the National Workload Management System, which was designed to distribute cases nationally rather than keeping them at your local office. The idea was that instead of your claim staying at your local Social Security office where it has always been handled, it could now be sent anywhere in the country to be processed. They made big announcements about this. They were incredibly proud of themselves. They talked about how they were ahead of the curve, how they were the best managers in the world, how this was going to revolutionize the way Social Security operates. March 7th came, the systems launched, and they did not work. The systems were fundamentally flawed, so they said, okay, we need a little delay. We will have it working by April. April came, still did not work. And now the whole thing is basically on semi-permanent delay. This has been reported by the Federal News Network and numerous other outlets. The national systems that were supposed to make everything better, the systems they bragged about, have been shelved because they simply do not function properly. Now here is why this matters so much to you personally. Before March 7th, the way things worked was simple. You file a claim at your local Social Security office, whether it is for retirement benefits, Medicare, surviving spouse benefits, an appeal, a reconsideration, whatever it is, and your local office handles it. The people in your local office who are familiar with local processes, who you can go visit or call, they work on your case. After March 7th, under the new system, claims filed locally started getting shipped out to random offices across the country. Your claim that you filed at your local office in Ohio might have ended up at an office in Arizona or Florida or anywhere else. And now that they have admitted the new system does not work and they are going back to the old way, there is a massive question that nobody seems to be answering. What happened to all those claims that got shipped out across the country during this transition period? Where are they? Who is working on them? Are they just sitting there in some digital queue with nobody assigned to them? Are they lost in the system? Because I am getting reports from former colleagues at Social Security offices throughout the country that this is exactly what is happening. Claims are floating around with no home, no assigned worker, and no one taking responsibility for them. This is why I am urging you, if you filed for anything with Social Security around March 7th or any time since then, you need to contact Social Security right now. Call them. Go to your local office. Tell them when you filed, what you filed for, and ask them to confirm that your application has been assigned to someone and is actively being processed. Do not just assume it is being handled. In normal times, sure, you could trust the process. But these are not normal times. Applications are falling through the cracks, and if you do not advocate for yourself, nobody else will. This is especially critical for people who need Medicare coverage. If you applied for Medicare and your application is sitting in limbo somewhere, you could end up without coverage. If you need that coverage before the end of the month, if you have medical appointments coming up, if you have prescriptions that need to be filled, you cannot afford to have your application lost in the system. Reach out to Social Security and confirm your status immediately. Now let me shift to something else that is incredibly important and that most people do not know about. The National Council on Aging has done extensive analysis and found that approximately $30 billion in public benefits go unclaimed every single year. $30 billion that eligible Americans, mostly older adults, are entitled to but never receive. And this is not because they are not eligible. It is because the system has been made so deliberately complicated that people do not even know these benefits exist. The complexity is not a bug. It is a feature designed to keep people from claiming what they are owed. One of the biggest programs that people miss out on is the Medicare Savings Program, known as MSP. Here is how it works. If you have Medicaid, specifically one of the higher levels of Medicaid such as QMB, SLMB, or QI, your state may pay your Medicare Part B premium for you. In 2026, the standard Medicare Part B premium is $202.90 per month. That is over $2,400 a year. If you qualify for the Medicare Savings Program, the state picks up that cost and that money stays in your pocket. That is real money that can go toward food, housing, medications, transportation, whatever you need. But millions of people who are eligible for this program have never even heard of it. They are paying that Part B premium out of their Social Security check every month when they do not have to. Now, for those of you who have both Medicare and Medicaid, you are what is called dual eligible. And being dual eligible opens up additional options for you. There are special Medicare Advantage plans called Dual Special Needs Plans, or DSNPs, that are specifically designed for people who have both Medicare and Medicaid. These plans can offer additional benefits beyond what regular Medicare Advantage plans provide. But here is the critical thing I want you to understand about choosing any plan, whether it is a DSNP or any other Medicare Advantage plan. Do not choose your plan based on the flashy extra benefits they advertise. Do not pick a plan because it offers a free gym membership or some other perk that sounds nice. The number one thing you need to check is whether your doctors are in the plan's network. Can you keep seeing your current doctors? Are your specialists covered? Are the hospitals you use in network? Are your prescriptions on the plan's formulary? These are the things that matter for your actual health. The extra benefits are nice, but they are meaningless if you cannot see your doctor. Speaking of extra benefits, there is a major change in 2026 that a lot of people are finding out about the hard way. For the past few years, many Medicare Advantage plans offered generous grocery cards and over-the-counter benefit cards. Some plans were giving people $200 to $300 a month to spend on groceries and OTC items. It was a significant help, especially for people on fixed incomes. But that program as it existed has ended. In 2026, the rules have changed significantly. Now, to qualify for those grocery and OTC benefits, you need to have a documented chronic health condition. It is no longer available to everyone in these plans. And even for those who do qualify, the amounts are generally not as generous as they were before. This is an industry-wide change, and we are going to see more and more of these benefits being pulled back going forward. And then there is the Medicaid situation, which is frankly alarming. Across the entire country, Medicaid is being cut. Federal funding for Medicaid has been reduced dramatically. According to reports, state Medicaid budgets are going to lose a combined $665 billion over the next decade due to federal cuts. That is not a typo. $665 billion. What this means in practical terms is that states are now scrambling to figure out how to operate their Medicaid programs with significantly less money. And the ways they are doing that are going to directly hurt the people who depend on Medicaid the most. Some states are making it harder for people to enroll or re-enroll in Medicaid, even if they are eligible. Some states are kicking people off their Medicaid coverage entirely. Networks are being shrunk dramatically. Where your Medicaid plan might have had 50 doctors in your area, it might now have 15 or 10. Benefits that used to be covered are being eliminated. The whole idea is that if you make it hard enough for people to access Medicaid, fewer people will use it, and the state saves money. But the people who suffer are the ones who need that coverage the most. So if you have Medicaid, you need to be actively checking your coverage right now. Do not assume that everything is the same as it was last year. Check your plan, verify your benefits, make sure your doctors are still in your network, make sure the services you rely on are still covered. And if you get any notices from your state Medicaid program, do not ignore them. Read them carefully and respond immediately if required, because missing a deadline could mean losing your coverage even if you are still eligible. Let me also address something about surviving spouse benefits, which used to be called widow's benefits. These claims have historically always been processed at your local Social Security office. They are complex claims with a lot of variables, but experienced claims representatives at local offices have been handling them for decades. If you have filed for surviving spouse benefits and you are being told that your application has been sent to a payment center, that is unusual. Normally, these are adjudicated right there in the office. Sometimes when an employee tells you it has been sent to the payment center, it can be a way of shifting responsibility. You need to follow up on this. Do not just accept that answer and wait indefinitely. Call back, get a status update, and make sure your claim is actually being actively worked on. For those of you who have recently filed for retirement benefits and everything went smoothly, that is wonderful. Simple retirement claims are generally straightforward and tend to go through without major issues. But just because the process was smooth does not mean everything is correct. There are several things you should verify. First, check your earnings record. Go to my Social Security account on the SSA website and look at your lifetime earnings. Every year you worked and paid into Social Security should be accurately reflected. If there is an error, even 1 year that is wrong, it could mean you are getting a lower benefit than you deserve. Second, make sure you filed for the right benefit. A lot of people file for retirement benefits without realizing they might be eligible for a higher benefit through another program. Are you eligible for spousal benefits? If you are divorced, are you eligible for divorced spouse benefits? Are you eligible for survivor benefits? There are situations where people are entitled to benefits based on a spouse's or ex-spouse's record that would be higher than their own retirement benefit, and they never even check. Third, Medicare. Third, did you sign up for Medicare when you should have? If you did not enroll in Medicare Part B during your initial enrollment period and you do not have qualifying coverage through an employer, you could face a late enrollment penalty. That penalty increases your Part B premium by 10% for every 12-month period you could have had Part B but did not sign up. And that penalty lasts for as long as you have Medicare. It never goes away, so making sure you signed up at the right time is absolutely critical. The wealthy have tax lawyers and accountants and financial advisors who make sure they squeeze every last benefit out of the system. They do not leave money on the table. But regular people, especially those who are struggling, often do not have access to that kind of expertise. They file for the most obvious benefit and never realize there were other programs, other benefits, other options that could have put more money in their pocket. That is where that $30 billion in unclaimed benefits comes from. It comes from regular people not knowing what they do not know. So let me tell you what you need to do right now. If you filed any kind of claim with Social Security since around March 7th, contact them immediately to verify the status of your application. Make sure it has a home and is not lost in the system somewhere. Check your earnings record and verify it is accurate. Review whether you are receiving all the benefits you are eligible for, not just retirement, but spousal benefits, survivor benefits, the Medicare Savings Program, and anything else you might qualify for. If you have Medicaid, check your coverage because cuts are happening across the country and your plan may have changed. If you are in a Medicare Advantage plan, verify your benefits because the rules around grocery cards and OTC benefits change significantly in 2026. And if you are waiting on any claim, whether it is surviving spouse benefits or anything else, follow up aggressively. Do not sit back and wait and hope the system works, because right now the system is struggling. This is a time when you have to be your own advocate. The people who are informed, who follow up, who ask questions, who verify their benefits, those are the people who are going to be okay. The people who sit back and assume everything is being handled, those are the people who are going to fall through the cracks. Do not be one of those people. For more information like this and to stay updated on everything happening with Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, make sure to stay connected with Retirement Wealth Watch